If you're a die-hard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns are at it again, folks. After a turbulent and frankly embarrassing roller coaster, with Deshaun Watson, they're not taking any chances this offseason. This time, they've gone all in. Not just with a single quarterback solution, but with a full house. That's right, the Browns now have 4 quarterbacks battling it out for the starting role. It's a bold move, maybe even a bit chaotic, but in Cleveland fashion, it's also a reflection of the urgency in Berea. They know the clock is ticking, the fan base is tired of mediocrity, and ownership wants results now. So instead of doubling down on one guy, they've opened the gates to a 4-way QB war, hoping competition will spark something special. But let's be real. When you've got 4 quarterbacks, you really have none, and someone's about to be very disappointed. One name in this crowded quarterback room stands out, though. Kenny Pickett. Yep, the same Kenny Pickett who was once hailed as the Pittsburgh Steelers' answer at quarterback is now donning orange and brown. It's a bit poetic, isn't it? The guy who was supposed to carry the black and gold into a new era is now trying to resurrect his career with their AFC North rival. But what makes Pickett so intriguing in this mix is what Terry Pluto of Cleveland.com recently shared. According to him, there's a growing belief inside the Browns building that Pickett could be Cleveland's version of Sam Darnold. A curious comparison, but one that might actually make a lot of sense if you dig into it. Like Darnold, Pickett came into the league with first-round expectations. Like Darnold, he was thrust into a tough situation and never got a fair shot. Let's not forget Darnold's journey here. Drafted 3rd overall by the New York Jets in 2018, Darnold spent his early years drowning in dysfunction. The Jets did him no favors with questionable coaching, a leaky offensive line, and very little offensive help. Sound familiar? It should, because Pickett's early career in Pittsburgh followed a similar pattern. He didn't exactly walk into a quarterback-friendly system. The Steelers' offense was as bland as a preseason playbook, and the coaching didn't do him any favors. He showed flashes, mobility, toughness, poise, but never consistency. Darnold bounced around from Carolina to San Francisco, and just when it seemed like he might be headed out of the league, he resurrected his career in Minnesota in 2024. Now he's in Seattle and finally being looked at as a competent, even reliable NFL starter. That's the blueprint Cleveland is hoping to follow with Pickett. Of course, the big difference is in arm talent. Let's not kid ourselves. Sam Darnold always had a cannon. His issue was never physical tools. Pickett? Not quite the same story. His arm strength has always been questioned. He wins more with touch than velocity, and he's not blowing anyone away with deep shots down the field. But that doesn't mean he can't be effective. The Browns aren't looking for a highlight reel machine. They're looking for stability, for someone who can run Kevin Stefanski's system cleanly, make the right reads, and protect the football. That's the type of player Pickett could be. And if the coaching staff sees enough of that in camp, he might just leapfrog the rest of the room. Still, let's not pretend the competition is going to be easy. Cleveland's QB room is stacked with ambition and desperation. Each one of these guys is fighting for what could be their last shot at being a starter in the NFL. That means every rep, every throw in minicamp and training camp will matter. Pickett might have the inside track now, but the leash will be short. Any sign of hesitation or regression, and Stefanski won't hesitate to pull the plug. The front office is seeing what happens when you put all your eggs in one unstable basket. That's not happening again. And with 4 quarterbacks in rotation, there might not even be enough snaps to go around evenly. Something's got to give. What's fascinating about this situation is how it reflects a shift in Cleveland's philosophy. For years, the Browns operated under the idea that they needed a guy, a franchise savior. From Brady Quinn to Johnny Manziel to Baker Mayfield and then Watson, the plan was always to swing big. Now it feels like they're hedging. Maybe they've realized the modern NFL isn't just about raw talent. It's about fit timing, leadership, and resilience. And maybe, just maybe, they think a reclamation project like Pickett, who's already tasted the highs and lows, might bring more steadiness than a flashy, untested rookie or a controversial. Veteran general manager Andrew Berry and head coach Kevin Stefanski haven't given away too much publicly, but read between the lines. And you'll see Pickett is getting early momentum. There's cautious optimism in their comments. They talk about his football IQ, his ability to process information quickly, and his work ethic. Traits that aren't always visible in highlight tapes, but win games in December and January. And if he can build chemistry with Cleveland's receivers and show command over the offense, he'll make a strong case to be under center in week 1. That said, a lot can change between now and then. Injuries happen. Training camp surprises emerge. And let's not forget, Cleveland is not exactly known for quarterback stability. Still, for a team desperate to put its quarterback chaos in the rearview mirror, investing in Kenny Pickett is a fascinating gamble. It's not about reclaiming a failed first-round pick. It's about identifying untapped potential that was never fully developed. The Browns believe they can mold him into a serviceable, maybe even above-average starter. And if he can deliver, that gives them breathing room. It gives the locker room a sense of direction. And maybe for once, it gives the fans someone to believe in again. Because while Pickett might not have the ceiling of a Deshaun Watson or the baggage, he might have something more important, a chance at redemption that aligns perfectly with a team that's still trying to redeem itself. The next 2 months will tell us a lot. OTAs, minicamp, training camp, it'll all be under a microscope. Pickett can't afford to stumble out of the gate. He's not the new shiny object anymore. He's the guy trying to prove he belongs in a league that doesn't. Wait long to move on. And in Cleveland, where patience is as rare as a sunny day on Lake Erie in December, he'll need to be sharp, fast, and consistent. Can he be the Browns' version of Sam Darnold? That's the question hanging over Berea. And if he can answer it with confidence, Kenny Pickett might just write the redemption story Cleveland has been waiting for. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. There are still plenty of hurdles ahead. Depth charts can change overnight. Surprises can pop up in preseason. And yes, injuries or front office moves could shake everything up again. But for now, Kenny Pickett is not just another name in a quarterback competition. He's the Browns' latest gamble on hope, a symbol of what can happen when a talented player finally finds the right environment, the right coaching, and the right moment. And if that's the case, Cleveland might finally have something it hasn't had in a long, long time. A quarterback worth building around. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season. If you're a diehard Browns fan and love breaking down the game like we do, hit that subscribe button and turn on the bell so you never miss a blitz. The Cleveland Browns entered this offseason knowing full well they had a quarterback problem. After all the chaos surrounding Deshaun Watson, a failed gamble that not only backfired on the field, but also damaged their reputation off it, the front office knew they couldn't afford another misstep. The pressure was on. Ownership demanded answers, fans demanded hope, and the coaching staff needed a plan. Enter the quarterback carousel. Rather than placing their bets on one clear-cut option, the Browns decided to go full hedge mode, stocking the roster with not one, not two, but 4 quarterbacks vying for that ever-so-coveted QB1 spot. A bold move? Definitely. A smart one? Time will tell. But one thing's for sure, this is a quarterback room unlike anything we've seen in recent Browns history. And amidst all that chaos, one name is starting to emerge as a potential leader, Kenny Pickett. Now, if you're a Steelers or Eagles fan, you probably just rolled your eyes. Kenny Pickett, the same guy who struggled to push the ball downfield in Pittsburgh? The one who never really found his footing as a starter? Yep, that's the guy. But don't hit that dislike button just yet. There's more to this story. According to Terry Pluto of Cleveland.com, the Browns aren't just throwing darts at a board here. They've got a vision. Pluto reports that the organization sees Kenny Pickett as their version of Sam Darnold. Now that comparison might raise a few eyebrows, but let's break it down. Darnold was once a failed first rounder too, taken 3rd overall by the Jets, flamed out in New York, floundered in Carolina, and then bounced around the league until he landed in Minnesota and finally showed some life. That's the kind of second chance redemption arc the Browns are hoping for with Pickett. Look, the league loves a comeback story, just as Geno Smith. Quarterbacks written off too soon often just need the right environment to thrive. And that's what Cleveland is hoping to build for Pickett. Let's be real, he was never set up for success in Pittsburgh. The offensive line was shaky, the play calling was conservative, and there was zero consistency in the receiver corps. The guy was asked to play hero ball with a JV offense. What we saw in Pittsburgh wasn't the real Kenny Pickett. At least, that's what the Browns are betting on. They think he still has untapped potential, that with the right system and coaching, he can do what Darnold finally did, resurrect his career. And at just 26 years old, he's still got time. Time to learn, time to grow, and time to prove all the doubters wrong. But let's not sugarcoat it. The Browns QB situation is far from simple. With 4 guys battling for one job, the reps are limited, the pressure is sky high, and the clock is ticking. Pickett will have to outperform not just 1 or 2 competitors, but 3. That's not just hard. It's borderline chaotic. Training camp is going to be a war zone. And let's not forget that this is all happening under a coaching staff that's very much on the hot seat. Kevin Stefanski and GM Andrew Berry are running out of time to prove their vision works. They know that another losing season could be the end of the road. So every decision, every snap, every throw in practice, it all matters more than ever. This isn't about developing a guy over time. This is about finding someone who can win now. And that pressure cooker might be exactly what Pickett needs. Let's revisit that Sam Darnold comparison though. On paper, it sounds a little generous, maybe even far-fetched. Darnold always had a live arm, a prototypical size, and the kind of raw tools that made scouts drool. Pickett, on the other hand, was never that kind of prospect. He was a safe pick, a steady hand, a guy with decent mobility, and an accurate short game. But what Pickett lacks in physical upside, he could make up for in maturity and leadership. He's already shown he can handle adversity. Just look at the media pressure in Pittsburgh. And according to insiders in Cleveland, he's already won over parts of the locker room. He's staying late. He's studying the playbook. He's asking the right questions. That stuff matters, especially in a quarterback competition. When the margins are razor thin, attitude and effort can be the difference. Still, let's not pretend this is a Disney movie. The odds are stacked against Pickett. If he struggles early in camp, the leash will be short, very short. And the Browns have options, plenty of them. There's a reason they brought in multiple arms. It wasn't just about competition. It was about insurance. This front office doesn't want to be left holding the bag again. They've learned from the Watson disaster. They're done banking on just one guy. This time, they want flexibility. And if Pickett can't separate himself quickly, there's no guarantee he even stays on the roster through the season. That's the harsh reality of the NFL. It's not just about winning the job, it's about keeping it. And in Cleveland, that job might be the most volatile in the league. But let's entertain the upside for a minute. What if the Browns are right? What if Kenny Pickett actually is the next Sam Darnold? Not the New York version, but the Minnesota version. The guy who plays within himself, who doesn't try to do too much, who lets the game come to him. The Browns don't need a superstar. They don't need Mahomes or Burrow. They need a guy who can make smart decisions, manage the offense, and not lose games. With that defense and that run game, they can win ugly. That's what they were supposed to do with Watson before everything fell apart. Pickett doesn't need to be a savior. He just needs to be solid. And if he can do that, this team could surprise a lot of people. Not win the Super Bowl, maybe, but sneak into the playoffs? That's not crazy. Of course, there's one more twist in this saga. Time. Right now it's May. The season doesn't start for another 4 months. A lot can change between now and week 1. Injuries happen. Depth charts shift. Coaches change their minds. And fans, they're fickle. If Pickett throws 2 picks in a preseason game, the same people praising him now will be calling for his head. That's life in the NFL, especially in Cleveland. The leash is always short and the margin for error is thinner than a sheet of paper. But if Pickett stays focused, if he keeps grinding, and if he finds that rhythm early, he's got a real shot to rewrite his story. Maybe not a fairy tale ending, but redemption? Yeah, that's on the table. And let's not ignore the optics here. This isn't just about football, it's about narratives. If Kenny Pickett can bounce back and lead the Browns, it would be one of the biggest circle of life stories in AFC North history. From Steelers reject to Browns starter, that's content gold. YouTube would eat that up. ESPN would run highlight packages with dramatic piano music. And Browns fans, they'd finally have a feel-good story after years of dysfunction. That's the kind of thing that can lift a franchise emotionally. And believe it or not, that matters. Locker room energy, fan support, belief, it's all fuel. And Kenny Pickett. could be the unlikely spark that ignites it all. So here we are, Kenny Pickett, once left behind in Pittsburgh, now standing at the edge of a brand new chapter in Cleveland. The Browns have rolled the dice, the battle lines have been drawn, and training camp is set to be one of the most intense in recent memory. Will Pickett rise from the ashes like Darnold did in Minnesota? Or will he fade into the background, just another name on the list of forgotten quarterbacks? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain, in the city of Cleveland, where football matters more than just about anything else, every snap, every throw, every decision starting now could shape the legacy of a quarterback trying to rewrite his fate. Buckle up, Browns fans. This one's going to be wild. Enjoying the content so far? Smash that like button and drop your take in the comments. We want to hear what you think about the Browns this season.